Donald Trump should be able to sue. I mean, how is it fair that they can go out and seek to destroy your life and you have no recourse here? I'd be suing Letitia James. I'd be suing Alvin Bragg. I'd be suing Fani Willis if she doesn't wind up in jail first. Fani Willis cruising right straight to jail. I'm telling you, that Fanny's going to wind up in the slammer faster than you can imagine. This one I'm talking about.
Are you aware that Fulton County requires you to disclose any relationship with someone that you're doing business with?
I'm not aware, and I know often that things are confused with state constitutional officers in county, but I'm not aware.
Not aware. So she was having this little thing, shall we say, with a married man named Nathan Wade, and Nathan Wade wound up getting divorced from his wife, and then the whole thing got blown open, and we found out that Fani Willis was using taxpayer money to pay some $600,000 to Nathan Wade, which kind of complicated things and actually put her entire office and the entire investigation in jeopardy. So that's where that stands. But one of the questions that keeps coming up is just what kind of connection did Fani, or Alvin Bragg for that matter, or Letitia James have with the Biden administration and the Biden White House? Was Merrick Garland running the whole thing? A lot of people would like to know, including one Matt Gaetz, who pushed Garland on this repetitively and kept getting stonewalled. The reason I say Fanny's going to be in the slammer is because we've learned that Nathan Wade actually was going to the White House and he was having meetings, allegedly, about this case. So if that's the situation, then she should be willing to testify about that, right? But she's shutting down. I'm not going to, you can subpoena me, I'm not going to testify. Well, the last time that happened, the person went to jail for it. I can think of one, Steve Bannon, Peter Navarro as well. They tried to get them to testify. Remember about J6, and they're like, I'm not gonna be. You can subpoena me. I'm not gonna go in and testify. Well, guess what? They went straight to jail. So your Fanny's gonna be in the slammer faster than you can imagine. You can sit there. I mean, it's gross. She's a lawyer, for God's sakes, and she's like, I'm not gonna testify. Come on, we need to know the answers specifically to this. Listen to what Matt Gaetz is asking. Okay, I don't have it, but that's all right. I'll summarize for you. He's pushing Garland in the soundbite I wanted to show you from about 9 months ago, and he's pushing him hard and he's saying, listen, I would like to know, was there any interaction between you guys in these various states? And Garland's like kind of just evading. And the idea is, like, Matt Gaetz, you're somehow accusing us of some kind of, this is conspiratorial. How dare you suggest that we do all this? He's like, fine. You can accuse us of being conspiratorial, but I need to know, where are the records? Why aren't you guys giving us the records? Why are you stonewalling all of this? And so this is what I come back to, guys. Everybody talks about retribution. Is this retribution? No, this is not. And actually, Donald Trump isn't really even wired that way. But I think that people around him need to pay attention to what went down, and we need to get answers, and we need to figure it out. Why? Because it should never have happened, and it should never, ever happen again to anyone on either side. It is not right to use and manipulate the federal or state government against your political opponents. It's so fundamentally wrong and stands at odds with everything that we believe in as a society. So this isn't retribution. Jim Jordan was asked this question actually by my former co-host. We used to host a show together for a while on CNBC. He's now over at Fox Business, and he used to be in the White House on the economic team, one Larry Kudlow. Let's listen.
Let me ask you something else that's very amusing to me, but I don't understand it. Democrats are now asking Joe Biden for a preemptive pardon, of Liz Cheney, Adam Schiff, and Tony Fauci. What is this all about? Preemptive pardons, for heaven's sake.
Well. Plus, didn't they just criticize? They went after some of my colleagues who they said asked for pardons. I don't know that they ever did, but some of my colleagues who supposedly that they went after them, and now they're doing the same thing. This is ridiculous. Donald Trump has never been about retribution.
Right.
Donald Trump has been stopping these agencies from being weaponized against we the people, and frankly from being weaponized against him, and all the lawfare that we saw unfold. Where Fani Willis, Alvin Bragg, and Jack Smith went after President Trump on ridiculous things that we all know were just that, ridiculous. So that's always been President Trump's position. But this is just the left continuing their crazy antics and crazy, concerns.
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing. Trump, right. Success is the best revenge. Success will unify the country.
Yep.
Success will end the divisions in the country. He said it a million times. He never went after Hillary Clinton years ago. He keeps saying that. And people are, you know what, they're projecting all these left-wing motives.
Exactly.
That's all they're doing. One other point, Mr. Jim Jordan.
That's fair. And, Larry wants to move forward. Everybody wants to move forward. I get it. Donald Trump wants to move forward, too. And they are projecting to a certain extent. And it's sort of funny because let me show you something. This is a great little clip. This is Adam Schiff back in 2018, 2019, and then him in 2024 vis-a-vis the pardon thing. I mean, the pardon stuff is kind of crazy what they're doing, but take a peek.
On the day Donald Trump leaves office, the Justice Department may indict him.
Very strongly in favor of indicting the president when he is out of office.
I don't think the incoming president should be threatening his political opponents with jail time. That's not the kind of talk we should hear from a president in a democracy.
Okay. Right. So they're going around, they're trying to sort of pin this on Trump and say, well, we got to pardon everyone because if we don't, Donald Trump's going to put them in jail. But he has, as Jim Jordan and Larry Kudlow just alluded to, he said over and over again, like, that's not really where he wants to go or what he's about. He told another one of my former co-hosts, Howie, this just before he was getting elected. He's like, look, I'm not about retribution. I actually just want to make the country a better place.
I think they're unethical, but who knows?
I want to drill down on this question of retribution because against your political opponents, because you've had opportunities to walk that back. And my question is this: are you prepared to say now that you will not use law enforcement to punish or prosecute your political opponents?
Excuse me. That's what they're using on me.
Okay, so your
wait a minute.
that they started
Before you start this.
Yeah, I got it.
Howie, that's what they're using on me. I've got DAs. I've got everybody. They look at me. There's never been anything like this. The biggest case was the one down in Florida, and I beat it 100%. I won the case because we had number one, a brilliant judge and a judge that moved rather rapidly, and I won the case. By the way, Biden had almost the same case, but he didn't have the Presidential Records Act because he wasn't the president, just to finish. And he got off on the basis that he's incompetent, essentially that he's incompetent. And it was a strange ruling because they said, number one, he's incompetent, so he's not going to be, but the prosecutor actually said he's guilty, but he's incompetent. But they didn't say he couldn't be president anymore. That was his bigger problem for not being president. How can you not represent yourself in court because you're incompetent, but you're allowed to represent the United States of America? The whole thing is crazy. But no, they have weaponized government against me.
But are you willing to use the same tactics?
No, I don't want to do that because that's a bad thing for the country. I don't want to do that. I don't know who said. I haven't said that I would, but they have done it. I've got attorney generals, DAs. They're all right. You take a look in Atlanta.
You're heavily investigated.
Yeah, they went and met with them. It's all coming out of the Justice Department. They have done something never done in this country before. Now, it's been done in a lot of other countries, third world countries, banana republics, but never done. So when you ask that question, you really have to start by saying, well, they've done it to you. No, I'm not looking to do it to them at all.
Okay, so he means that. And I would just sort of emphasize or punctuate that by telling you that he has specifically told me, as it related to Hillary Clinton, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that because, you know what, we're still the United States of America, and I get it sounds good on the campaign trail, but ultimately she was the wife of a president and she was my opponent in a heated election. I don't believe that that's where the country's going or should go. This came up again with one Kristen Welker in the Meet the Press interview.
Let me ask you this about January 6th.
I wish you could be you have such potential. If you could be just non-biased, you hurt yourself so badly. I'm telling you, they deleted and destroyed all the evidence. Everyone knows it. And you slough it off like it doesn't mean anything.
No, I'm just saying they deny it. That's all I'm saying.
Kristen, if I did it, you would be standing up in that chair shouting at me. And you know what I'd do? I'd say, you got me. They have done something so illegal. They have a committee sworn to, and because it was so bad, the only reason they did it is because the testimony turned out to be in favor of me.
Yeah. So he was a little dig there to Kristen. But again, he's asked about whether or not he wants to move forward with
We're
retribution.
subsidizing Canada to the tune of over $100 billion a year.
Actually, that was on tariffs. I'll just paraphrase. So he was asked about whether or not he wanted to really seek revenge. And he said, no, you know what I want to do? I want to get the country back on stable footing, economically speaking. I do not want us to be suffering from this mass inflation. I want to make sure that our border's secure. These are the most important things to me. So again, he's a nice guy. So maybe I'm not so nice, because I still look at this. I actually am really nice. And this comes from a good place when I say this. I mean this. I look at this and say, if it could happen to him, it could happen to anyone. And part of the reason nobody wants to be in politics or run for political office is because of this sort of vengeance. You know, you're going to go after your enemy with everything you got. That's not okay. And we have to deter people, including rabid AGs like Letitia James, from doing that. As the court well knows, this is exactly why they're saying, wait a second, how is it that it could get this far out? How is it that we could be in this situation? We need some guardrails. We need some lines drawn in the sand. Listen to them. They're admitting it.
Back to Justice Moulton's point about line drawing, because I do think that is very important in this case. You know the history of this statute. It's passed under then AG Javits, and then was really amplified by AG Lefkowitz over the years. And when I went back and read the bill jackets, the common thread was always we need greater power. The AG needs greater powers as the people's lawyer to protect consumers, civil rights, and the environment. And so again, with that sort of historical backdrop to this law, how do we draw a line, or at least put up some guardrails to know when the AG is operating well within her admittedly broad sphere of 6312, and when she is going into an area that wasn't intended for her jurisdiction?
Right? We need guardrails. So that has to happen some way. I think that you can teach by example by disbarring Letitia James, by forcing the resignation of Alvin Bragg and Fani Willis, Fani, however you want to say it. Well, as I said, Fani is going to probably find her Fanny in jail before she even gets to the point where she might be able to resign or be disbarred because she's refusing to comply with the subpoena. Great. So we've got to actually streamline this so that we're protecting the nation, the country, from turning into a banana republic. And let me tell you, we are well on the way. We are well on our way thanks to all of these clowns. It's really, really pretty despicable.